Thank you, Chairman. We have Michael Sanderson again.
Just let you know, I've rung the Chairman's Lounge and they're prepared to hold it open if you...
I'm not planning to be in the Chairman's Lounge anytime soon, so... But presumably that's helpful to you, Michael, based if you've got their phone number.
Just another comment. I think people get the impression that I don't genuinely care for banks. I'd like to put that one to bed. My eldest great-grandson is called Banks. To balance that, my other great-grandson, who was born on the 15th, is called Loki. My question. Media reports say the ANZ engaged Allens after complaints about Ms Jane Halton's comment on the US board trip. She referred to two women of colour as the help, and that the external review upheld most of the substance of the complaints. She exited quietly with praising statements. When did ANZ first become aware, and what action did ANZ take at the time? If the complaints were upheld, why did ANZ then appoint Ms Halton to lead Suncorp Bank's board? Why did ANZ publicly praise her departure without stating any conduct findings or reasons? Did Ms Halton receive any payment, benefit or agreement exit terms linked to her departure?
So I think there's three questions there. I think one is a question about...
I could put Anne between them lot and make it one question.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I answer them, Michael. So sure. There's a question about an event. There's a question around, did we give any special terms? And there was another question in there. Well, let me get going.
Is there any benefit agreement?
Any benefit or agreement, yeah. So look, it was a question about Suncorp, you asked. The
question was about Halton's comments and the fact that she's able to exit ANZ without any red marks.
If I try and go through the three topics that you've raised under that umbrella, look, like any large organisation, we have lots of opportunity for people to raise issues, concerns at all levels. We take them very seriously. And as you would have seen from the things I've talked about earlier, we have very well-created processes and systems for managing these issues. But because of that, if there was an investigation, I'm not saying there was, if there was an investigation, we are required to preserve the confidentiality of those who may have raised an issue, or indeed anyone who's been on the receiving end. So I'm not going to comment either way in terms of confirming or denying whether that happened. In terms of Jane being appointed to Suncorp, when we acquired Suncorp, as I mentioned earlier, it is one of the biggest banking deals, one of the biggest changes in industry structure in Australia for several decades, and it transformed ANZ in terms of our retail positioning. But as we've also stated, we needed some time to be ready to integrate it into ANZ. And as Nuno has mentioned, that's scheduled now for 2027. So we currently have a separate banking license for Suncorp. It's required to have its own board and its own governance. It's a large entity in its own right. So in selecting someone to chair that, we needed someone who's got a track record of serious governance, who understands and has the experience of running complex operations. And if we looked at Jane, we saw someone who led the Department of Finance and the Commonwealth Department of Health at various times. She has a public service medal, which is a recognition of her capability. And she, as it happens, is the most senior serving director in ANZ on the board other than myself. So those were the reasons we appointed her to Suncorp. And as you can see from today, we've been very focused on ensuring Suncorp goes well. There was no special treatment for Jane in terms of her terms and conditions on exit. She did say the two reasons that she was keen to go were the fact that she's chairing a global board that works in public health, and she needed to spend more time on it, as the United States withdrew funding, and the fact that we were about to sign an undertaking with APRA, and she was due to step off the board around now. But look, I'll let Jane speak for herself otherwise, but that gives you some background to our decision making.
I just find it peculiar that you ignore the racial slur and prop up everything else. We'll leave that.
Well,
My
any
other...
issues that's raised with us is not ignored. I want to assure you of that.